Alright, this reading is going to be Act 1, Scenes 2 and 3. And if you remember at the end of Scene 1, we left off with a big battle royale between the two families. It started off with Samson and Gregory were walking down the street with Abraham and Balthazar. They saw those two Montagues and started mocking them and ended up getting into a fight. And then, of course, Benvolio comes, Romeo's friend Benvolio comes and tries to stop the fight, but Tybalt then, the cousin of Juliet, ends up coming and makes it even worse, as Tybalt's personality is a little bit temperamental. And so now, Scene 2 will begin with Paris, Count Paris, who's a young nobleman, asking Capulet for his permission to marry his daughter Juliet. Capulet will tell him that Juliet's too young, but he gives Paris permission to date her and try to win her over. So, and he invites Paris to a party that he's having that evening, and Romeo's going to find out about this party, and he's going to want to go, because Benvolio, his best bud, will tell him, hey, there's other ladies there, so let's get over this Rosaline girl, who is also going to be at the party.
But Montague is bound, as well as I, in penalty alike. It is not hard, I think, for men so old as we to keep the peace.
Of honourable reckoning are you both, and pity 'tis you lived at odds so long. But now, my lord, what say you to my suit?
But saying o'er what I have said before, my child is yet a stranger in the world. She
He's
hath
telling
seen
him
the change
she's
of
too young.
14 years. Let 2 more summers wither in their pride, ere we may think her ripe to be a bride.
Younger than she, our happy mothers may.
And too soon marred are those so early made. Earth hath swallowed all my hopes, but she's the hopeful lady of my earth. But woo her, gentle Paris, get her heart. My will to her consent is but a part, and she agree. Within her scope of choice lies my consent and fair according voice. This night I hold an old accustomed feast, whereto I have invited many a guest, such as I love, and you, among the store, one more most welcome, makes my number more. At my poor house look to behold this night, earth-treading stars that make dark heaven light. Such comfort as do lusty young men feel when well-apparelled April on the heel of limping winter treads. Even such delight among fresh fennel buds shall you this night inherit in my house. Hear all see, and like her most, whose merit most shall be, which on more view of many, mine being one, may stand in number, though in reckoning none. Go with me. Go, Sarah, trudge about through fair Verona, find those persons out whose names are written there, and to them say, my house and welcome, on their pleasure stay.
So Capulet,
whose names are written.
So Capulet invites Paris to the party, and he's kind of using the same philosophy that Benvolio is going to use later on Romeo, but that there are a lot of young ladies here. So you can see how my daughter compares to the other young ladies.
Written here. It is written that the shoemaker should meddle with his yard, and the tailor with his lass, the fisher with his pencil, and the painter with his net. But I am sent to find those persons whose names are here writ, and can never find what names the writing person hath here writ. Oh, I must to the learned. Oh, in good time.
So now he gives the servant a note to get things prepared for the party. Of course, the servant isn't very literate, so he's going to be looking for somebody to help him. And of course, Benvolio and Romeo enter the scene at this time.
One fire burns out another's burning. One pain is lessened by another's anguish. Turn giddy and be halt by backward turning. One desperate grief cures with another's languish. Take thou some new infection to thy eye, and the rank poison of the old will die.
Alright, and of course Benvolio's advice is, take thou some new infection to thy eye, and the rank poison of the old will die. So let's find you a new lady. And if you remember, Romeo is just lovesick over this girl, Rosaline, who will not return his affection.
Your plantain leaf is excellent for that.
For what, I pray thee?
For your broken shin.
Ah! Why, Romeo, art thou mad?
Not mad, but bound more than a madman is. Shut up in prison, kept without my food, whipped and tormented. But then, good fellow.
And now here they see the servant. So he's talking about how terrible it is to be lovesick, shut up in prison, kept without food, whipped and tormented. And now he sees the servant.
Oh, I pray, sir, can you read?
I, mine own fortune in my misery.
Oh,
Perhaps
you've learned
Romeo
it
is
without
so
book,
bleak.
but I pray, can you read anything you see?
Aye, if I know the letters in the language.
Oh, you say honestly. Rest you merry.
Stay, fellow, I can read. Signor Martino and his wife and daughters, County Anselmo and his beauteous sisters, the lady widow of Vitruvio, Signor Placentio and his lovely nieces, Mercutio and his brother Valentine, mine uncle Capulet, his wife and daughters, my niece Rosaline, and Livia, Signor Valentio and his cousin Tybalt Lucio, and the lively Helena. A fair assembly, whither should they come?
Up.
Whither? To supper.
To our house.
Whose house?
My master's.
Indeed, I should have asked you that before.
Now I'll tell you without asking. My master is the great rich Capulet, and if you be not of the house of Montagues, I pray come and crush a cup of wine. Rest you merry.
All right, so now they go through the list of, he reads the invite list for the party, and he's going to notice that there's one girl's name on there, Rosaline, and that's the girl that he is infatuated with. So, of course, Romeo, and you could hear it in the actor's tone right after he read that his voice picked up a little bit. And so he asks, where this party's at, and the servant says, as long as you're not a Montague, come. So, of course, that poses a problem because Romeo is a Montague.
At this same ancient feast of Capulet sups the fair Rosaline whom thou so loves with all the admired beauties of Verona. Go thither, and with unattainted eye compare her face with some that I shall show. I will make thee think thy swan a crow.
When the devout religion of mine eye maintains such falsehood, then turn tears to fires, and these who often drown could never die, transparent heretics, be burnt for life. One fairer than my love, the all-seeing sun, ne'er saw her match since first the world begun.
Tut, you saw her fair, none else being by, herself poised with herself in either eye. But in that crystal scales let there be weighed your lady's love against some other maid that I will show you shining at this feast, and she shall scant show well that now seems best.
I'll go along, no such sight to be shown, but to rejoice in the splendor of
All right, so Benvolio talks Romeo into going to the party. Why? Because he's going to compare her face with some that he'll show, and that he'll make Romeo think his swan is a crow. So, and of course, Romeo doesn't think that's even possible, and Benvolio says, nah, you just wait. So, that I will show you shining at this beast, and she shall scant show well, that now shows best. And Romeo says he'll go. He's pessimistic, but he will still go along. Okay, now we're moving on to scene 3 of Act 1. And this is actually going to take place at Capulet's house. So we're going to meet Juliet here. We're going to meet her caretaker. And that would be, her caretaker would be the nurse. So we'll add nurse over here. And the nurse has obviously a close relationship with Juliet because she had brought Juliet up since she was younger. Think of like a nanny kind of role. And we'll kind of see how that plays out here in the text as well as in the films that we're watching. The nurse is very jubilant but also kind of crude. And she's been in charge of Juliet, since she was born. So there's that tight relationship there. And you'll notice the nurse kind of is very talkative. Juliet's mother asks if Juliet has thought about getting married. They're obviously looking at setting her up with Count Paris. And and she tries to tell her that Paris would make a good husband. Juliet responds, just as you might, or anybody, if their parents try to set up a blind date, without a lot of enthusiasm. So let's see how this interaction takes place.
Yes, where's my daughter? Call her forth to me.
And now, by my maiden, a 12-year-old, I better come. What lamb? What ladybird? God forbid. Where's this girl? What, Juliet? No, of course, your mother.
Madam, I am here. What is your will? This is the matter. Nurse, give us leave a while. We must talk in secret. Nurse, come back again. I have remembered me. Thou's hear our counsel. Thou knowest my daughter's of a pretty age.
So, the Lady Capulet was going to talk to Juliet in private, but then realizes that the nurse might be able to assist here.
I can tell her age up to an hour.
She's not 14.
I lay 14 at my teeth, and yet to my teen it was spoken I before. She's not 14. How long is it now till Lammas time?
A fortnight and odd days.
No, even or odd. Of all days in the year, come Lammas Eve at night shall she be 14. Susan and she, God rest all Christian souls, were of an age. Well, Susan's with God. She was too good for me, but as I said, on Lammas Eve at night shall she be 14.
Alright, so, and Lammas Eve is like feast, basically, and it's the day after Juliet's birthday. So they're basically a little over 2 weeks away from Juliet's birthday, her 14th birthday. And the nurse is kind of recalling, that the history there.
Shall she marry? I remember it well. 'Tis since the earthquake now 11 years, and she was weaned. I never shall forget it, and all the days of the year upon that day. For I then laid wormwood to my doves.
She's thinking back to when Juliet was born.
My lord knew that man to her. I do better brain. But as I said, when it did taste the wormwood on the nipple of my dove and felt it bitter, pretty fool, to see it touch you and fall out with a dog. Shake, quoth the dove house, 'twas no need I trow to bid me trudge. And since that time it is 11 years, for then she could stand high alone. Then, by the road, she could have run and waddled all about. For even the day before she broke her breast. And then my husband, oh God be his soul, was a merry man, took up the child. Yea, quoth he, dost thou fall upon thy face? Thou wilt fall backward when thou hast more weight, wilt thou not, Jude? And by my holidam, the pretty wretch left crying and said, aye. To see now how a jest shall come about. I warrant, and I should live 1,000 years, I never should forget it. Wilt thou not, Jude, quoth he, and pretty fool it stinted and said, aye.
All right, so the nurse is telling tales of Juliet's childhood and of her birth, and she actually had a daughter that would have been about the same age as Juliet, but it says Susan is with God, so that daughter died in infancy, which allowed the nurse to be very close with Juliet, and then she tells a tale of her husband when Juliet fell at one time, and her husband picked her up and said, made a kind of a joke, and so you can hear Lady Capulet and Juliet kind of chuckling in the background, but it shows the close relationship the nurse has with Juliet.
Enough of this. I pray behold thy peace.
Yes, madam. I cannot choose but laugh. To think it should leave crying and say,
Here's
and
the
yet
nurse.
I warrant it had upon it brow a bump as big as a young cockerel stone, a perilous knock, and he cried bitterly. Yea, quoth my husband, fall'st upon thy face, thou wilt fall backward when thou comest to age. Wilt thou not, Jewel? He stinted and said,
And stint thou too, I pray thee now, say aye.
oh, peace I have done. Oh, God mark thee to his grace. Thou wast the prettiest babe that e'er I nursed, and I might live to see thee married once. I have my wish.
That, Mary, is the very theme I came to talk of. Tell me,
So that transitions well into Lady Capulet.
Position to be married.
It is an honour that I dream not of.
An honour? Were not I thine only nurse, I would say thou sucked wisdom from thy teat.
Well, think of marriage now. Younger than you here in Verona, ladies of esteem are made already mothers. By my count, I was your mother much upon these years that you are now a maid. Thus then, in brief, the valiant Paris seeks you for his love.
A man, young lady, such a man as all the world. Why, he's in other words.
Verona's summer hath not such a flower.
Nay, he's a flower, if ain't the very flower.
What say you? Can you love the gentleman? This night you shall behold him at our feast. Read o'er the volume of young Paris' face, and find delight there with beauty's pen. Examine every married lineament, and see how one another lends content. And what obscured in this fair volume lies, find written in the margin of his eyes.
All right, so Lady Capulet basically introduces Paris as a possible suitor, and just basically encourages Juliet to keep an open mind. The nurse is obviously very infatuated, and loves the idea of Juliet possibly ending up with Paris. So Lady Capulet says, can you love him? This night he'll be here, so take a look at him.
This precious book of love, this unbound lover, to beautify him only lacks a cover. The fish lives in the sea, and 'tis much pride, for fair without, the fair within to hide. That book in many's eyes doth share the glory, that in gold clasps locks in the golden story. So shall you share all that he doth possess, by having him, making yourself no less.
No less.
So, and obviously,
Nay, bigger. Women grow by men.
so this kind of speaks to the time period in which if she married Paris, who is of a higher stature, then she would obviously improve herself by having him making yourself no less, and then women grow by men. The mom is trying to encourage Juliet not to judge a book by its cover, and to look at the deeper part of Paris.
Speak briefly. Can you like of Paris, love?
I look to like, if looking like he move, but no more deep will I dark mine eye than your consent gives strength to make it fly.
Madam, the guests are come. Supper served up. You called. My young lady asked for. The nurse cursed in the pantry, and everything in extremity. I must hence to wait. I beseech you, follow
We
straight.
follow thee. Juliet, the county stays.
Go, girl. Seek happy nights to happy days.
Okay, so the nurse is excited that Juliet's going to go to the ball and possibly meet a future suitor, but notice Juliet's response to her mom: I'll look to like if looking like a move, but no more deep will I dart mine eye than your consent gives it strength to make it fly. So basically, like any of us would respond to a parent's suggestion of a blind date, sure, I'll give it a shot, but I'm not guaranteeing anything. I'll look to like, but looking might not move me to liking, basically, is what she's saying.